Hi, it's Laura. Welcome back. I'm so excited that you guys joined me today because we are going to do a list, like a listicle. I started to put together a list of like my top 10 from last year, 2024, and I realized that they are all kind of Goth Garden plants. So we're doing a Goth Garden list. Well, I did one last year, so this will be like an updated list. These are going to be all plants that I have actual experience with. It'll be my own footage. So this is going to be top 10 Goth Garden plants for 2025. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new, if you're into stuff like this. Let's go. Okay, first up, we're starting with Amazing Gray Poppy, and that is the name of it. It's very suitable for it because it is amazing. I grew these from seed last year. They did really well for me. I did cold stratify the seeds. As a matter of fact, I made a video about it. I will link that in the description. But these were just like so gorgeous. The color of them reminded me so much of like a watercolor painting. The petals have like a ruffled look to them, and so do the leaves. Actually, the foliage even has like a ruffled look. It's so pretty, and the flowers come in shades of like gray and blue and purple. I even had one that was like reddish, and then when they get aged, like when the flowers drop off, the seed pods are really cool to look at. They are very alien-esque. I really like that about them. Very Goth Garden. Easy to start from seed. Totally recommend. Okay, next up is one that I've been growing for a few years now, and it's like a head turner in the garden. All my neighbors, they stop and they stare. This is Sirius Blue Salvia, and it's technically a tender perennial in my zone 6. I've had success sort of 50-50 with it. About 50% have returned for me, and then the other 50 die off. But they're super easy to start from seed, so I usually just start them every year. They're really easy to save seed from. The color on the blooms is just so beautiful. It's like this bright bluish purple. It's absolutely does not show up on camera the way it does in person, for sure. And I also really like this salvia because it doesn't have like an overly strong scent. A lot of salvias have like a gross kind of ammonia smell to them that I really don't like. And this salvia does not have that. So highly recommend Sirius Blue Salvia. Okay, next up is something a little bit different. This is the Ruby Slippers Hydrangea. If you guys, I'm sure, are familiar, there's a bunch of different types of hydrangeas, and this is one of my favorites. I have like 20 hydrangeas in my garden, but I only have one oak leaf hydrangea. This is the Ruby Slippers oak leaf hydrangea. What I really love about this plant is the fall interest. It has panicle style blooms, so they're white and then they start, you know, kind of fading to that like antique-y pink quality. But also the foliage on this plant almost has like an ombre effect. It's like reds and oranges and yellows and golds, and it's just so pretty. In the fall, it's so pretty, and it holds on to its foliage for so long. And then when they finally do drop off, the bark of this shrub is really pretty too. It has bark that kind of peels like a paper birch or like a crepe myrtle style bark. Just really pretty. I absolutely recommend Ruby Slippers Hydrangea. Definitely my favorite. Oak leaf hydrangea. Well, it's the only one I have, so it has to be my favorite, but highly recommend. Moving on to number 4, which is probably like my favorite singular plant that I had this year, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Just this like particular little plant looks so good for so long. I just loved it. And that is the Starry Skies petunia, or what I cannot get out of my head and just call it anyway, the Galaxy petunia. This is one that I knew I wanted last year. I tried to grow it from seed, but they're really hard to find reputable seeds for this online. I bought some off of an Etsy shop that is now closed, And I unfortunately didn't get, like, I got sprouts, but they didn't make it. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to talk smack about her because I'm not sure that what happened there. Anyway, I picked these ones up at a local place near me called Hearts in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and they were, I mean, these were just so stunning. They come in different variations, different color variations. Normally I am a purple girl, as you guys know, but I picked up the burgundy variation. I got 2 of them actually. Next year I'm definitely going to buy more. But oh my God, the burgundy, like, it makes the white speckles just pop so much more even. This was just such a gorgeous plant. It is an annual in our zone 6, but definitely recommend as an annual for sure. Next up, we have a Jacob's Ladder, and this one is from Proven Winners. It's called the Jacob's Ladder Heaven Scent, and scent like smell, because it smells really, really pretty when it's in bloom. This is a plant that I picked up 2 years ago, and I liked it so much that I added another one last year. It's a perennial in our zone 6. I really love the way it looks first thing in the spring when it's emerging. It has a very goth look to it, in my opinion, like almost like a sea creature-esque, like crawling out of the ground. The color at that time is like a reddish blue, if that makes any sense. Just really gorgeous. And then when the flowers come on, they are just my absolute favorite color, which is periwinkle. They're like a periwinkle. They're so whimsical. It's just such a pretty plant, and it's a fast grower. I cut it back and it will like rebloom the same season. I think one of them even bloomed 3 times last year. They don't really like the heat of the summer. So like I said, I just cut it back and it just grows so fast. It grows back so quickly. So definitely a great plant for our zone 6. Okay, this next one was new for me this year, so I only got 1 of them. And that was kind of a mistake because it was one of my favorites. I know I keep saying that. But this is the Ballerina Valentine Primrose from Monrovia. I really like Monrovia plants. I have said in the past they tend to be kind of more expensive, but this past year I found like these smaller sizes that were like $11, and I just really like their plants. I think I got this one from Lowe's, and I had never grown primrose before. I didn't know what to expect. It's a spring bloomer. A lot of the stuff on this list are spring bloomers. I don't know how that happened. I guess it just tends to have my favorite bloom. But anyway, in the spring, they tend to sell like pastel colors. So this dark reddish, almost black color was really awesome to find at that time. It is one that I ended up deadheading, but it's one that does that thing called bury the dead, where like their dead blooms are kind of hidden under the foliage. So you have to kind of go searching for them, but it did make them last longer. I'm pretty sure that I deadheaded them because they kept putting new blooms on. So this is a perennial in our zone 6, and I hope to get more this year for sure. Okay, so my next pick is kind of more of like a general one because it's not really a specific. That is heuchera or coral bells. That's hard. This is mostly a foliage plant. It comes in like a million different colors, but obviously for like a goth garden, I would recommend the really dark purples, the dark reds. Those are the ones that I tend to go towards, but they do have like chartreuses, bright greens. I think they even have like pink. It's mostly a foliage plant, but they do bloom late in the season. They put on like these really pretty, like dainty little white blooms that are really, really cute. Almost like baby's breath. Very cute. But these are perfect shade plants, but they can also, I find, handle a little bit more sun. I have a couple that are in kind of like full sun, and all that happens is they fade. The color fades when it gets really sunny. And then when it cools down, they get bright up. They like brighten up again. So they can handle more sun. They might get a little bit crispy, but they're recommended for more shade, I guess, is what you should know. I think they can be a little bit expensive when you buy them from the store. I'm going to try to grow some from seed this year. So stay tuned for that. We'll see how it goes. It's my first time trying to grow heuchera from seed. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, moving on to one of my favorites. The whole list is one of my favorites. I'm really excited to talk about these though, because if you guys watched my channel last year, you're probably sick of hearing me discuss the beautiful black bachelor's buttons. They were my favorite annual of 2024 for sure. Absolute standout, especially planted en masse like this. Just so stunning when they were all blooming. I could not get enough of them. They did need support. I also had a little bit of trouble with them the beginning of the season because of the groundhog. She was nibbling a bunch on the bachelor's buttons, but they bounced back really well. So that was an awesome surprise. This is another one that is a sort of a spring into summer bloomer. It prefers cooler temperatures, so they didn't last the whole season. I made them last as long as I could, but they are really profuse bloomers, so it's kind of hard to keep up with the deadheading. I mean, I was cutting off like a lot every single day, so it was a lot of work to deadhead these. Now, I have heard that they can be a bit of a beast in terms of like reseeding in the garden. I'm not sure. We'll see about that. When that happens, that tends to be in like the warmer climates, not usually so much in our zone 6. So we'll just see. I did start them from seed and they were super easy, but also super fast. So this year I'm going to start them like way later. Okay, next up is one of my favorite dark foliage plants for the garden. Great Goth Garden plant. And that is Penstemon. I love Penstemon. Now, it comes in a lot of different variations. The one that I am showing is called Blackbeard. And it has like a very dark, purpley, reddish foliage that is almost evergreen. They hold on to their foliage during the winter, and then in the spring they'll put on new foliage. You can kind of cut off the old stuff. But it's gorgeous, and the blooms on this are so whimsical. Some of my favorite blooms. They're very dainty, very demure, very mindful. They're gorgeous. And then this is another one that as they age, I like to leave them on because they kind of hold on to their shape, and they just have another one that is like kind of an alien quality to them. I really, really like them. They do self-seed a lot, but I don't mind that. Personally, I don't mind that because I think they're just such a gorgeous plant. Okay, another absolute stunning annual that we did this year, new to me this year, was the Black Prince Snapdragon. Oh my gosh. I didn't even see these coming. Like, I had high hopes for them and they delivered. I started them from seed and I actually set them out super duper early because Snapdragons can handle really low temps. I think I set them out in like March. They were out there little seedling style in like the teens. The temperatures were in the teens and they made it through, and they did so well this season. They just got better and better as the season went on. They have like a darkish red foliage that kind of gets greener in the summertime. So like when it's warmer, they're green. When it's cooler, they're redder, purpler. The blooms are a deep, deep red, blackish color. They are so gorgeous. They are marked as an annual for our zone 6, but I just have a feeling because they handle the cold so well, I just have a good feeling that some of them might come back, kind of like the salvia does. They're like, I barely cut them back. They're kind of like mulching themselves right now. So I don't know, you guys. We'll see what happens, but these are absolutely gorgeous. Highly recommend. Black Prince Snapdragons. Okay, and last but not least is going to be my favorite vine that I grew this year. And if you watch my channel, I'm sure you know what it is. It's the Cup and Saucer vine. This one I got as a little sproutling from Select Seeds early in the season. And it did get off to kind of a slow start. But once it got going, it grew really fast. It's super easy to train, but you do have to stay on top of it once it gets going because it'll put on almost like a foot of growth every day. So it's a very, very late bloomer. You have to be so patient. I think it didn't bloom until October. And I mean, by the time it started blooming, it's like almost time for our first frost already. Unbelievable. That's really late. But I didn't mind because the foliage is gorgeous. Like the tendrils, the leaf style. This plant is gorgeous without blooms. And then when it does bloom, the blooms are so beautiful. They're this bell shape. They start off as like this lantern shape, and then they open to like a bell shape. They start white, and then they age to like a purple, and then they get darker purple. They're just so beautiful. I can't even explain it. You can see in the video. There are several places that sell seeds for them. I think I'm going to try to grow them from seed this year. But like I said, I got this from Select Seeds. They do sell starts on their website. I got mine in person because they just happen to be very local to me. I will link a video below talking more about that. But this vine is just absolutely top winner for 2020 for sure. This is something that I will at least attempt to grow every year from now on. So that's it. That is the list of top 10 Goth Garden choices for me personally for 2025. I hope you will take some of these into consideration for your garden if you are you know, in zone 6 or higher, I guess. I'm going to grow all of these again this year, so that's exciting. If you're new here, stay tuned for that because there's a lot coming up. Certainly, if you have any questions about any of these that I didn't cover, leave it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!